dimensionalism, my ass. The only dimensions that we're tapping into is the lost categories. Holy guacamole. Holy shnikes. Hello and welcome. I am Casper Villa. Are there Lakers to talk about? Plenty of Lakers to discuss. Unfortunately, it's going to be another one of those episodes. Yes, I know. Don't like to see our Lakers lose, especially in a season where they have not yet to win a game, given it's only been 4. But the Lakers find themselves nevertheless 0-4 as they lost to the Denver Nuggets 110-99 out in the mile-high country of Denver.
Let's ride.
Yes, unfortunately, the Lakers were not able to capture the victory, their first victory of the season. It really was a tale of two halves. The Lakers, well, I should say, that's kind of the theme. There's a lot of themes with this team, if you notice, right? I should kind of just begin making a chart of all the themes that kind of pop up with this Los Angeles Lakers team each and every time we watch them play. But one of the themes that has become very much apparent with this team, with this organization, especially in these last 3 or 4 seasons or so, is the Jekyll and Hyde approach, right? Or the helter-skelter, whether it's a quarter of solid basketball, whether it's a quarter and a half, whether they play the second quarter well, whether they play the end of the second quarter well. It just seems that the Lakers cannot string consecutive quarters of solid basketball, especially when it comes to halftime. Now, last year, it was kind of the opposite effect. Like, we would come out really lethargic and slow. It looked like we were kind of like, racing against an old man in a walker. There was never any sense of energy in those first halves. And they find themselves in a humongous deficit, usually in the 15 to 20 point range. And then they come into the second half with conviction and energy, and they would cut into that deficit and would lose by like maybe 10 or 8 points. And we say, well, maybe if this team, and then it just kind of goes back into the same repetition. Again, much like the movie Groundhog's Day. But I felt in that first half, first and foremost, my key points were all wrong. I'm gonna have to tailor that and kind of skew it now. I had Anthony Davis. I wanted to challenge him to go to the free throw line at least 15 times. That was probably way too many times, given the fact that Anthony Davis went to the free throw line a whopping, yes, one time. I must admit, the first basket of the game, Anthony Davis gets it into the block, turns and faces Nikola Jokic, goes baseline, gets a nice finish and the foul. And I'm thinking, all right, already getting to the free throw line. This is what I like to see. Maybe I might be up to something, huh? Maybe I might have a little intuition going into this one. But like I said, that was the only free throw he attempted, and he missed it. I don't know what the heck happened to Anthony Davis free throw shooting. Lethal shooter! I thought you were lethal, man! I thought you were going to help change his ways, get him back to the free throw assassin that we saw in that first season with the Lakers. I just long for those days. It just seems so long ago, right? Just seems like yesterday when Anthony Davis could make free throws and get to the free throw line more than one time. And yes, but nevertheless, the first half Lakers came out with more of came out with the level of assertiveness and priority to get movement and action inside. Get a little bit more balance where it wasn't simply just taking 3-point shots, though they did take 3-point shots. And I will say that they weren't necessarily bad 3-point shots. Some of them were ill-advised, but in the most part, I did like how the ball moved, how there was movement within the players. We saw them pushing the tempo on missed shots, utilizing their defense to create more efficient opportunities in transition offense, getting inside the painted area, just having more of a commitment to create other shots outside of the 3-point. Of course, it was a little peculiar because LeBron basically went almost that whole first quarter before taking a shot attempt. And I understand in my last episode, as I alluded to, the fact that LeBron likes to get his teammates involved, likes to try and save kind of his aggressiveness and tone for that second half. I've kind of seen how it works out, how he and Anthony Davis kind of operate. Anthony Davis comes in initially that first half or so and is the assertive, prioritized player, get him involved, etc. Then Anthony Davis, second half, turns into more of a defensive-minded player that is just kind of out there offensively and will give you some assertiveness, aggressiveness, but it really is kind of brought back to LeBron setting the tone. Of course, really, I saw it was like in the 9-minute mark when we saw Anthony Davis already, kind of go towards his back and start going It was off that Jokic possession where the team tried to steal the ball. I don't know what happened. They tried to steal the ball and like Jokic kind of got it through and did that little finger toss to get his first basket. And that was literally when I saw Anthony Davis like grab at his back. And throughout, basically after that play, you can just see him like, and this is how he always looked. It always looks like he's in pain. It always looks like, I mean, if he decides he wants to be an actor or a stunt devil, hey, Hollywood, 80's your man. I know there's not a lot of 6'11" characters, but nevertheless, maybe he can be like a monster backup, a monster stand-in or something. I mean, the guy, his pain projection is money. Magnifique. The way he just jipping, lowering his head. And then they're like, so how is Anthony Davis doing? Oh, he's fine. He's fine. I mean, he was able to play through the game. They asked Anthony Davis, we saw you hampering a little bit and holding your back. Oh, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. It's like, if you're going to be fine, if you are okay, like, you're not proving anything to any of us trying to go through and play through pain if it's literally going to change your aggressive nature and tone. Like, Anthony Davis was aggressive in that first half in light of kind of dealing with that injury thing, and it just seems like he goes away. He like I said, the pendulum swings to then LeBron has to be aggressive and has to set the tone. Why can't these two just be aggressive and set the tone together? Why is it outside of that championship run where you legitimately saw LeBron James and Anthony Davis coinciding, playing side by side, showing the level of impact and dominance. And it just seems now just not able to replicate that for a full 48-minute game. First half, as I alluded to, there seemed to be a better balance in their offensive attack. You saw more action with LeBron and Anthony Davis with LeBron setting up Anthony Davis an inside movement. You saw the effectiveness when they were able to get the production from Anthony Davis in those type of spaces, the ripple effect that it created for his teammates. There was a nice play where similar pick and roll action, defense collapse, Anthony Davis finds a wide open Austin Reeves, and yes, he made the three. I will say this, the Lakers did make some threes in this game. They actually shot over 20%.
And today we shot 26%, so we got better.
So overall, the offense in that first half was moving with a little bit more versatility. There was a little bit more shot selection, not just taking threes, chucking up ill-advised shots, but most importantly, their defense creating easier offensive opportunities in which they were able to go into that first half with the game tied. Like I said, the defense, the ability to generate turnovers created fast break opportunities for the Lakers, and thus they played a solid first half, much like they played a solid first half in every other of these games, especially in the preseason. So now the theme is not second half adjustments and playing better. It's first half that you coming out with the level of focus and a level of attention to details. Anthony Davis taking the challenge against Nikola Jokic. And then the second half comes. Cliff dive. Nose dive. Whatever dive you want to say. Like dip, dodge, duck, dive, and dodge, whatever. Lakers just... 6 for 18 from the field in that third quarter. For the Denver Nuggets, 14 of 23. The Denver Nuggets scored 32 points in that quarter to the Lakers 17. But this is the most staggering stat of them all, which essentially tells the story of just how this game was, okay? The Denver Nuggets had a career high, and it was even a career high against the Lakers. I think it was like an NBA career high or whatever. They had 35 fast break points. 35 fast break points, and the Lakers only committed 13 turnovers. So let that just kind of sink in. Because usually when you have fast break points, a lot of time it's through turnovers. You know, your team is turning over the ball and you're just giving teams easy possessions, easy points. No. The Lakers did a pretty good job, though. My mark was 12 turnovers. They went one over. The Lakers haven't really been that bad, actually. They've kind of improved in that capacity, in that category, the turnover marks. Only had 13 in this game. But it just indicative to, A, how horrible their shooting was, or I should say in that second half, their shot selection became more perimeter oriented and they weren't making much. 2, and most importantly, just how abysmal your transition defense was, just your defense overall. And this was something that Darvin Ham alluded to in the post-game comments. Again, didn't want to make an excuse for the altitude and what have you, but to surrender 35 fast break points and you only committed 13 turnovers it basically says you just kind of gave up on playing defense. And when you're playing this team in particular in Denver, where you're already dealing with kind of the changing of the climate and everything, the circumstances changed, which then is going to have to require you to invest that much more energy, to invest and prioritize and be focused in and providing that much more energy. The Lakers completely checked out. And you can see it. Long shots leading to long rebound, or just missed shots around the rim, and guys were not getting back. And so the Denver Nuggets, I thought that was staggering. 35 fast break points on 13 turnovers committed by the Lakers. That's just extraordinary. Being prepared and understanding what it's going to take when you're playing when you're playing against a team like the Nuggets on the road, the circumstances. It takes that much more focus, but more importantly, it takes that much more commitment to do the little things correct. And the Lakers, I shouldn't say for whatever reason, it's a talent issue, because at some point you can only be as productive as your team puts you out there to be. You can only be as productive as the versatility that you have. You can only be as productive and as versatile than the depth and skill set that you have on your team. This team is comprised of just too many specialists. And that is the byproduct. That it was one of the most largest ripple effects when it comes to putting all your eggs in the basket for 3 players. And I understand Russell Westbrook did not play in this game. I'm just saying, when you're trying to go for the big 3 model, it leaves you incredibly minute, incredibly narrow in the margins in terms of not only players that you can surround these big 3 with, but the actual skill sets that they provide. In this case, when you're building a team around LeBron, we have always heard you need shooters, right? But what you are seeing is not only do you need shooters, but you need shooters that actually possess versatile scoring game. So yes, you want to have the guys be able to, when the ball comes to them, spread the floor, they take it, knock down their shot. But you also want to have players, if a guy comes run at you, you pump fake, you're not just on an island and you don't know what else to do. It's like, oh my God, this guy ran me off the 3. I don't know what else to do. And that just seems to be the problem with this Lakers roster, really for the last couple of seasons. Really since LeBron has been here, it just becomes this very challenging task to surround the proper personnel around him while also providing versatility. When you have a collection of players who, we're not really known as shooters to begin with, but are also very limited in the skill set that they can bring in from just a pure scorer. There's just not enough scorers on this team, pure scorers. And what it ends up doing is it not only makes you limited in how you can attack your opponent, but it makes you incredibly predictable. And this is something that I have said before. I have alluded on prior episodes. We had James Worthy giving his post-game comments. First and foremost, he needed a drink. I mean, we all needed one, right?
Thanks. I needed that.
I was ready to just, just line them up, get the whistle, and let it ride. But I remembered it's still the weekday. Still got to get through this week. Maybe I'll have several when they play them again, and I'll have the weekend just to kind of pass out. Anywho, but this is just the scenario that they find themselves in when you just simply do not have versatility in your roster. We can try to come up with all the solutions. We can try and come up with strategies, or we can try and come up with a recipe to kind of cure this illness with this team. But unfortunately, they are who we thought they were. And it's going to be a long season. I understand it's only 4 games, but I'm telling you, it's just, so that third quarter was just a debacle. It was a disaster. But much like the Lakers like to do, being down 15 points, you're thinking, okay, this game is... No, they come out in the fourth, 8-0 run, cut the lead down to 7, and you're thinking, okay, could this be now the Lakers kind of being on the other side of the coin, and maybe like they're legitimately gonna push through it? Yes, they're gonna come in and they're gonna steal. No, because that's what other teams do to the Los Angeles Lakers. The Los Angeles Lakers don't do that necessarily to other teams. What they do is, yes, they get into a large deficit. They get into this very large hole of a margin, and to the point where you're just like, okay, this game is basically over. And then they start to make a push. And then they start to cut down the lead to single digits. Now it's maybe a few possessions away. And yeah, just like on cue, Lakers cut the lead to 7. They have a sequence of possessions where they can cut the lead even further, but they're kind of taking ill-advised shots. And then it was wrapped with a bad missed call by the ref where basically LeBron got fouled. Nuggets take the ball, knock down a 3. Darvin Ham loses his cool, gets a technical, and that's all she wrote. Nuggets built the lead back up to like 15 points or so. And yes, that was that. You might be saying, what were we even really surprised? I mean, this team is simply just not that good. And coming into this season, yes, it's only 4 games, but I was trying to keep this sense of, okay, new roster. Defense is playing well. Like, the team plays better, right? They're playing better. It's just they're having the same issues that we've seen from last season and even the year prior. They just simply do not have enough talent. They're just too incredibly top heavy. And unfortunately, as much as I have the utmost respect for LeBron James, he's going to go down as arguably one of the greatest players to ever play the game. But he's just not that. And I'm going to say this not to irk or get really anybody mad. It's just more of a reality of just how much more challenging it is for him. Like, the days where LeBron can kind of take a mediocre roster, slightly under average roster and kind of uplift them because he can just go like beast mode and drop 35 or 40. Like, unfortunately, those days are just far few in between. It's just, and it's not fair to ask of LeBron to be that player still. You would like to think averaging 27, averaging 25 or what have you, that would be suffice because you have an actual team and you have another superstar that can take the reins and essentially put the team on his shoulders. But just, we got that one season glimpse of what Anthony Davis and LeBron James are when they're at their apex. And I just think, unfortunately, more from Anthony Davis' point of view, I know he tries. He has the right attitude. I know, well, I guess he speaks the right attitude. The actions don't always align. And sometimes it just gets to a point where I'm like, yeah, whatever, AD. Like, when he talks about like, oh, we need to be more aggressive. I need to be more this. I need to be more that. I need to set the, like, I've come to take it now as just the diplomacy, the things that players are just kind of scripted to say, especially Anthony Davis, because it's just his actions just simply don't scream to me a guy that is legitimately capable of being the number one. And I know that many have already come to that conclusion. I guess I just keep holding a little shred of doubt. Kind of like the kid from Angels in the Outfield. Anthony Davis, I believe, is just, has that mentality where, yes, he wants to be that aggressive force, but just the makeup, the mentality is just not there. There's an aggressive nature. And even with Jokic has his struggles sometimes keeping like the gas or keeping his foot on the gas and really just being the dominant force that we all know he can be. And he's just a far more skilled big than Anthony Davis. Like, when I watch these two play, I just see in the footwork and the overall skill set that Jokic is just far more capable of doing more than Anthony Davis. But it's also the mindset in which he can do those things. Anthony Davis, it's just, if he's not making, and I like it when he's making his emphasis known inside, when he's producing baskets inside 5 feet and in, but that's literally all he's making at this point. I mean, the guy's not even making, the guy comes out with, has a nice little sky jumper, little leaner or what, and he's just missing these 5-footers that are like shots that he used to make. Now it seems all he can make are just the actual like dunks and layups and such that are literally like a couple feet away from the basket. Outside of that, he's struggling mightily. Like, we know the 3-point shot has been horrendous from his part. But I mean, for crying out loud, he's not even making mid-range shots. He's not even making shots from 8 feet out. Again, I will show you the numbers. The guy is literally shooting under 20% on everything outside of the basket 2 feet and in. Like, where he's shooting like a whopping 70-some%. But it's like, even with LeBron, as much as he has traversed his game, his transitioned his game a little bit more perimeter oriented, we saw from the 3-point mark, he shot pretty well. I mean, around 33-34%. Being able to demonstrate mid-range game, being able to demonstrate just an overall variety of different shot selections and making them to a better mark. Also, very low, near 20s, near mid 20s. I mean, his 3-point shot, which has been his most effective shot of the last couple of years or so, is down to like in the 20%. It's just collectively, these two guys are just not having the same type of impact. But again, when you are so incredibly limited as collectively as a team from an offensive standpoint, we hear, yeah, they back off them, they are daring in the shoot threes, but they can't even step up and knock down a 15-footer, and people are like, well, that's not a good shot. I'm just saying they simply can't even make shots that are wide open or in any capacity. It's not even necessarily 3-point shots. It's like, if I'm wide open from 3 and I can dribble into like a 10-foot jumper, but I know like I knocked that down at a clip that is basically like with LaMarcus Aldridge, used to knock down that mid-range. It was like automatic. They literally don't have any shot that's automatic. Like nothing. Like a sequence of space on the floor or spots on the floor where you know, okay, we need a couple baskets. We need some, boom, go in these spots, go in this space, and you can manufacture possessions. Whether it was like Chris Paul, when they needed some baskets, he just operated in that mid-range game. Whether it was Steph Curry or Kyrie Irving or Kevin Durant, like they simply are not making any shots. It's just very perplexing. Like, I understand it's been a struggle this season, but it's like literally they're not making really any type of shot at an effective percentage. Fist of Fury. This is the part of the segment where they kind of focus in on what superstar came out and dominated. You know, that was one of the points, one of my keys to victories. So corny, I know. But one of the keys was Anthony Davis versus Jokic. What superstar was going to dominate, right? I was talking about the domination aspect. Who's going to be the dominant force between the Joker and the Brow? And yeah, that proved again to be Jokic. I don't even call him the Joker anymore because I'm just gonna call him Mr. Bob.
We just sort of have to make a decision as to where we want the floater to come from. Do we want it on the side or over the top of Anthony Davis? Remember, there are no mistakes, just happy accident.
Happy floater, happy no-look pass. You know, the guy is just an artist. Just creates masterpieces out there against Anthony Davis. 31 points, 13 rebounds, 9 assists, 4 steals. Now, in the first half, it was a little bit more even. I felt even Anthony Davis kind of had the better of the two in that first half. Just like Novocaine, split veer, give it time, it always works. Another theme that we have been watching from the opposing team's superstars when it comes to playing the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm wondering, is it going to be Anthony Edwards this next matchup? Is it going to be Karl Anthony Towns? Another segment that I'm going to come up with is like, is the Hall of Fame star, or I'm trying to, maybe you can comment below a segment name for this, where it's basically focusing on which opposing team's player like kind of just came out of the woodwork and was like their all-star, all-American, right? Because we see that all the time. Bruce Brown, sorry, Bowen. Bruce Bowen. Thinking Bruce Bowen. Yeah, it's been one of those weeks, man. Lakers are just making me lose my mind. But yeah, so Bruce Brown, he's gonna be he's the this episode, this matchup's again, come up with a segment. We'll say the 6-man All-American, the bench team All-American. I don't know. He's not a bench player. He starts. I mean, he did a incredible job over there with the Nets. Like, he was a solid player. Definitely like a solid player. Not taking anything from what he has done thus far, but it's just the Lakers love to make superstars out of role players, and he did lead he was second in the team with 18 points. He had a plus 24, 7 from 12 from the field, 4 from 6 from threes. I mean, the guy made more 3-pointers. Oh my dear Lord. Yeah, he made more 3-pointers. I'm not going to say combined, the number one, but literally he made more 3-pointers than any of us. Like, he made 4. That's the most. I guess that's the most for anyone. Caldwell Pope, remember him? Oh, Caldwell. Remember he said he couldn't shoot. He's not a shooter. Trade him. Well, this concludes another episode. Are there Lakers to talk about? Hopefully we'll have something positive to discuss, but make sure to tune in to the next episode, the pregame episode. Los Angeles Lakers taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Can they get off the schneid? What are the points and notes? What are the keys to victory? Make sure you stay tuned. Make sure to hit that notification button. And remember, outside of the landline ringing, don't forget to ring that notification bell. Y'all have a great one. Peace.